Robots. In this video, you're going to hear my long-term impressions about SRAM's wireless Eagle AXS drivetrain and RockShox Reverb dropper post. Yup, they're waterproof. And thanks to Bluetooth, it'll work from clear back here. In early 2019, SRAM released their all-new AXS electronic components. It's 2020 now, and I've been writing the derailleur and dropper post for 1 year leading up to this review. Because it's wireless, it makes the front end of your bike look so clean, and you'll be covering up cable ports in celebration. Let's address the elephant in the room right away though. AXS components are freaking pricey. You can buy 6 GX derailleurs and 2 regular reverbs for the price of an AXS derailleur and dropper, and you'll have some cash left over. Without a doubt, AXS was one of last year's most over-the-top, high-end products. Inventions like this are really intriguing though, and they push things in a new direction. SRAM delivered with a 4-story box of mountain bike-ready drivetrain components and a dropper post to complete the package. The new Eagle has arrived. About ready to throw this onto that bad boy. We got in here some documents. Fancy. Installing the parts was ridiculously easy. With no housing to fish through your frame and nothing to bleed, you basically bolt things on. Be sure to torque the derailleur correctly as it needs a lot of it. And if you've got a full AXS group, you need to start with the AXS button on the derailleur to get everything paired up and you can be off and running. At this point, you can bridge over to your phone connecting to the SRAM AXS app. This process can be a little bit foreign feeling as most riders just haven't connected their bikes to phones before, but what can you do with it? The app allows you to review battery life for every component, as well as assign different controller paddles different functions. I actually chose to set my shift directions opposite of stock just because it feels a bit more natural to me. Now you can also receive firmware updates and set the number of gears it will shift while holding down the paddle. This is something that SRAM calls multi-shift. It's pretty cool to have some options here, but in my view this feature is only useful if you're really in the hurt locker. Based on the app reviews, clearly some people are struggling to connect to their components and there's room for improvement here. That said, SRAM does have a cool new feature called AXS Web that they recently came out with, and it could really jive with some riders. AXS Web enables much greater functionality, and combined with a Garmin or Wahoo head unit, you can actually get battery alerts, various performance breakdowns, see your shift profiles, and get detailed ride reports in addition to linking other devices like the Quark power meters or TireWiz. Now then, how does this all work on the trail? Alright guys, let's go on a little ride along here with SRAM's AXS products. So one of the claims is that you can shift whenever because it's electronically controlled. Let's try that out. Very smooth through there. It's actually not bad at all. We went down and up here. Little clang, smooth up, pretty smooth. One of the things that I particularly enjoy about the AXS group is how little effort it takes to do everything. You can literally use a pinky and shift. It's incredibly easy to actuate the buttons, both on the dropper and on the derailleur. Incredibly smooth shifting on the up hills most of the time. In general, the shifting is pretty consistent. Occasionally you'll get a loud pop, but it's not too bad. The effortless feel could be super nice for riders with small hands, weak thumbs, or those seeking to save every ounce of energy. Things shift on command without any lag, and it's rare that I hear gears rubbing for very long, if at all. While this is super easy, when I go back to mechanical drivetrains, there's definitely not a next level difference in terms of perceived shift quality. And I actually wish that the AXS would shift up the cassette a bit quicker for those times when you come around a corner and you've got a sudden terrain change and you need to shift a lot. I hop back and forth between a lot of different bikes, and even after a year, I still occasionally shift AXS the wrong direction. Things are positioned differently with a shifter. It's something that's just been programmed into my brain for a few decades. So go into it knowing that it's going to take a little bit longer time to fully adapt. What about that fancy derailleur hanging down there? Now this could really suck to hit squarely on a rock, but you can see it has taken some hits despite being a hair shorter and a bit more tucked up than a mechanical version. Luckily, the overload clutch disengages on impact to avoid damage to the internal motor, and then it actually returns to its original position. I've had to adjust the trim just once after the initial installation, which you do by holding the small shifter button and shifting, and things have been pretty carefree since. Let's not forget that Reverb Access dropper post.
So one thing I really enjoy about this dropper post is how quickly it actuates. So I'm going to push the lever over here. Immediately it's going to pop up. And another really neat thing is it's so quick, you can make really micro adjustments for the terrain. So I'm pushing in, it's dropping. I'm able to drop the post just by millimeters, centimeters at a time, which is really quite cool. You can find that perfect position for whatever it is that you're riding very quickly.
Not only are micro adjustments possible, but you can sit on the dropper with all of your weight and still actuate it effortlessly. Usually you can't do this, and this makes it even more useful as a dropper post. When I go back to a standard post, I actually miss the Access version for its precision and ease. The application of instant wireless technology makes a noticeable performance difference compared to a cable or hydraulic remote. On top of that, it's quicker to return in cold temps than a Reverb has ever been. The updated post head is also quite cool with its single rail retention bolt for a simpler saddle install, and it also allows you to easily adjust the tilt angle. My main concern with the dropper is actually ease of theft. One easily accessible bolt and some jerk has your post, and that's going to sting really bad. Consider taking it out when it's locked up for a while, or at least getting rid of your quick release seat clamp. The day has finally come. No more battery. And now for the batteries, which are interchangeable and can be charged via USB. Battery life is actually pretty good when it's warm, and you're going to get up to 25 hours of ride time on the derailleur and 40 hours on the dropper post. For the controllers, you're looking at a claimed 12 months of battery life on the shifter and 26 on the dropper controller, although my shifter died in just 6 months. Why the battery life difference between the components? Because the derailleur takes more energy to move, you're likely to use it more often, and the typical button press is longer in duration. On the dropper, it's just quickly opening and closing a valve. When your bike is stored in the cold, the battery life really suffers, and this is one of the biggest drawbacks of the Access system. Expect to charge the batteries much more often when temps get near freezing, and storing your bike and battery somewhere warm is a very good idea, as this will help them last longer on those cold rides. As a quick tip, these things are motion activated, so remove the Access batteries when you drive a ways or fly. It's easy to do, and the clasps have remained secure for the year that I've had it. Pressing the Access button on any component allows you to check the battery level. When the LED blinks red, you've got less than 6 hours of life on the dropper, just 1.5 on the derailleur, and under a month on the controllers. If you're concerned about it, some riders actually carry a spare for those big rides or multi-day missions. You can also get critical battery push notifications on your phone via Access Web, which is really slick, but it appears as though you have to have a head unit to do so. I cleaned the derailleur up in the sink with a brush and degreaser recently, and it actually looks pretty dang good. There's some scuffs here and there, but the pivots are tight and there's no slop in the mechanism. The clutch does seem to be wearing though, and this may be the weak link for the longevity of these derailleurs. The pulleys themselves are in decent shape, but the lower pulley has developed some wobble over time. As far as service, the Reverb hasn't developed any squish, and it's reassuring to know that there's a way to fix it quickly should it occur. Resetting the post follows a super simple process that takes less than a minute to do, and this removes any air from the oil with no rebuild necessary. With the introduction of vent valve and no need to bleed a remote, it truly is a great package for a dropper. Just like the regular model, RockShox calls for a lower post service every 50 hours and a complete service every 600. That's up from 400 in the previous models. The lower post clean and lube can be done at home to reduce friction and extend the lifespan of the post. Just be sure to check the brass keys inside for wear when you do so. Considering it's just battery charges and changes, you're looking at a relatively convenient way to maintain everything. Instead of paying for $30 bleeds and $10 cable swaps, it'll cost you a $55 battery on occasion. So far, I'm still satisfied with battery performance after a year in all but really cold conditions. So, what's the bottom line? There is no denying that these are luxury components and completely unnecessary to have fun on your bike. but man, are they cool. Overall, AXS works well as a system, combining wireless technology that is both reliable and nearly instantaneous to make things easier, faster, and a more natural extension of your body in many ways. You barely tap the controllers and the result is a more accurate shift or a dropper adjustment. There are also fewer cables, which is sweet, and the potential for trickle down is really exciting here. For those who really love their devices and data, AXS is a dream thanks to Access Web and various integration abilities. For those who don't though, it's possible to use the system without thinking twice about it. While there is a lot of convenience when it comes to AXS, there are definitely some trade-offs when it comes to dealing with batteries and apps. After this test, the full AXS setup is going onto a new trail bike. I find that rides on my transition patrol are most often straight up, straight down, and after a year of riding it, I think the precision that AXS offers, whether it's shifting under load or finding that perfect seat height, is much more fitting for a trail or XC bike where you see a lot of rolling terrain. As for the Reverb Access, is this the dropper post perfected? It definitely seems like it. Then again, what if it could drop itself? That's a wrap. I'm curious to know what you think of SRAM's wireless access components in the comments below. Be sure to head to vitalmtb.com and SRAM.com for more details, and we'll see you on the trails. Okay, let's see how far this thing will go. Still works. Dogs are getting angry. Still working? Pretty sweet, huh? All right, that's good.